Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode here, I'll go over chart analysis here, and basically you're looking at Bitstamp. I'll go over a couple charts just to show. And so if you've seen the previous episodes, you know where all these lines come from, and this is a 2 hour, so I can see this particular channel here that's going through. And so looks like there was some support and it's broken through, but it hasn't fallen down. It looks like it's just going to continue to go sideways, so I'll probably get rid of this line here. So it's not going to hit up against this resistance right here. Looks like it's going to just meander and just keep going and going. And let me see, just to give you a time frame, what you can do is you can just drag this out a little, and all of a sudden these things start changing a little bit. So now you can kind of see what's going on. Matter of fact, we pull back a 4 hour period and then pull this. There you go. You can kind of see it like that. There we go. So it looks like it's just going to go sideways, which it happens. And you got to remember, this trade's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Today is Saturday, so this is a weekend. Some people will not trade on the weekends. They would like some time off from trading, because trading is both on at the exchanges on different platforms, but also in real life when you trade. Some people just want a weekend where they don't trade. I'm available on the weekends, as far as trading on localbitcoins.com. So if my ads are running, I got the bitcoins for any buyers out there, and then also any sellers. My ads are also running if I'm available to fund payment. So I kind of do it for a couple reasons. Basically, when I'm out, I kind of understand some people work during the day, right? And they just don't have time to make payments or receive payments, or just to transact. Some people are working, and it's not uncommon for people who want to trade bitcoins to have a job too. So they're not going to give up everything and just to trade bitcoins. They just may be interested and would like to dabble in it, and slowly make that transition from earning a wage to now earning their own, possibly their own income, and generating wealth and creating their own revenue source. So, I'm available, and so this is a weekend, and you gotta remember, weekends tend to, even on a forex trading, they tend to be lower in volume. And so you could see kind of here the volume here. It's very, very, very looks low because of this high spike, but it's pretty low, is my point. And that may be the perfect time to purchase a Bitcoin or sell your Bitcoin, because buyers want, when I go to buy Bitcoins, sometimes I just buy them because I know the source. If you buy them directly from person to person, that's the quickest way. You transact your money and everything. You got to build that trust in the real world, because sometimes your purchases can go up to quite a bit. Like, it won't fit, the money won't fit in your pocket. Okay, you gotta, but sometimes people transact with a couple $100. That's fine. And so I find, sometimes on the weekends, when the volatility is not going too crazy, um, you can get a stable price to trade off, to receive and sell your bitcoins. And it kind of helps because it gets kind of scary when you see a fast fluctuation, especially on a for a seller, um, for a buyer and seller. This in this scenario, for the buyer, this is scary. In this scenario, it sucks for the seller, right? So when it doesn't move too much and it's going really sideways for a while, I find those times are the best time to buy and sell because it's not moving too much. The price between the exchanges, right now there's about $5, $6, $7, $7 difference. But if you look at some of the other ones, and I'll go over them real quick. This is Bitfin. Okay. Now, someone was saying it's Bitfinex, but that's 3 syllables, and that's just a little too much for me. So I'll just say Bitfin. All right. So there's Bitfin, and sorry if I zoomed in too close here. And Bitstamp are almost close to identical. At some point, it actually was very close to Bitsy. Bitsy was up in the $30 range. It was like $630 range. So they were pretty darn close in pricing. So, anyways, that's if for people who want to get into the Bitcoin trade and y'all work, or you have other occupations, but you kind of want to dabble in this a little bit, weekends are the best. It still trades 24/7, 7 days a week, and Saturdays, I believe the banks are still open, so you can still transact, get your money out and get your money in. Another one is Western Union. They're open 7 days a week, actually, and even on Sundays. Limited hours on the weekend, but still open and available. Of course, you can also do Western Union online. So, these are some ways you can transact and get a Bitcoin or sell your Bitcoins in the real world. Other than that, let's take a look at what's going on here. So I had to pull back to the 4-hour, and that way you can get an idea. And it looked like it was about to go on this uptrending support here, and these don't really last that long, and they're not really that strong. These are just short-term, very short-term, guesses at a support line. So just because I drew it there doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay, please remember that. All right, this is just my opinion on what's going to happen. Originally, I was doing this 2 days out, so I'm not here to advising anybody. Okay, but from a request from a viewer who seems like he's viewing most of my videos here on Bitcoin Trade, so I kind of have to, respect his request. So, anyways, it's going sideways, and looks like it's flowing in between these two channels, or these two resistance and support lines. So flowing in this channel here, and we'll see what happens. I'll probably have to get rid of this, and but eventually price action moves this way, right? So the price action moves this way. Eventually it's gonna hit this resistance eventually, or it may go down and just follow down the support here, supposedly downtrending support channel. And you got to be very careful when you see a downtrending channel here, because it's because the price action moves this way. It can theoretically, when it falls. Okay, so when this thing falls, I mean, it's got a long, and remember the price action is moving this way while it's falling. I mean, it can just fall forever as long as it just follows that channel. So that's where you got to be kind of careful on a downtrend. You got to be very selective of where you pick your buys and where you pick your sells. Um, so then, that being said, you know, if eventually the price action moves this way, so it's gonna hit this eventually, and at some point in time, it's also gonna hit this support, and there's another the other support here. So eventually, it's gonna hit another triangle. What do you know? And so here's the range. The range is probably right around here, and what you have to work with. Let me see here. This is a Bitstamp, so you're looking at about 658 to a range of, I think this is a pretty good support right here, 550. So there's your range. Work with it. At least you have an idea of, and $100 moves in Bitcoin. Yeah, that's doable. Like, well, there you go. Here's another $100 move, which is, let me see, 550 to 7. Is that right? Yeah, about 550 to 710, something like that. So 5, 6, yeah, 100 something, almost $200. I would say $200. So it's not uncommon to move in one day like that. So a lot of times what you'll see is when you see this kind of just move so slow, there could be a lot of positioning going on. A lot of people positioning themselves for a potential up move, or a lot of people positioning themselves for a potential down move. So however you choose to trade, it's up to you. But right now, it looks like it's let me get into a 2-hour and or even a 4-hour here. No, let's go back to a 2-hour. So it looks like it's following this downtrending channel. It's broken out of this channel into another channel, and then it's following this channel. And for me, I like it to go up, but in either case, if it goes down, it's a great buying opportunity. If it goes up, it's a great selling opportunity. You got to look at your trade positively, right? In a positive way. If it goes down, I'm going to buy more. If it goes up, I'm going to sell, or something like that. Or you're going to hold, or whatever you want to do. So that's Bitstamp, and here's BitC, and then this is also 2-hour. Let's see what it looks like in a 4-hour. That's what it looks like in a 4-hour, and I could drag it. I'm going to drag it. See, there's BitC. And then I'm going to drag it here, and we're going to see what's happening. And a lot of these are going to have a different pattern to the line, different supports. And so when I look at all of them as a whole, you get a really good sense of how the price action is going to move. So this one pretty much did the same thing. It's going sideways now. It's entering into the weekend, so but you never know. Usually weekends you don't get as much price action movement. But here's some 638 range to, and I'm going to use these two particular ranges because I'm following this support line here. So there's your two ranges right here, in my opinion, on where the price range will be. And so it's like 638 to 562, and so there's a different range here to work with. When I do this, usually I'll put like a limit order right around here just in case it ever just spikes down. You get a flash crash, and it happens. All right, maybe someone had a fat finger and pushed the wrong button. I mean that happens. All right. You got to remember there's a person behind this trade, and you know people make errors sometimes. People have fat fingers, so. But I always have a limit order here, and just it wouldn't hurt just to have a limit order, because if it hits, great, you just bought at a really low price that you feel comfortable with. If it never hits, great, it never went down that far, right? So, just some, um, some of the strategies that you can take when you trade. Especially if it's on the weekend and you don't want to be in front of a computer all the time. Put your limit orders where you want to buy right there. So now when your limit order hits, it's not a big deal. You didn't miss on the price action. So very similar situation here. Eventually it's gonna hit this resistance, and just because you put these lines there, I put these lines there, doesn't mean it's gonna react in any way. It may just keep going sideways forever. You gotta keep that in mind. I mean, it is what it is, and as the price action happens, you've always got to readjust, your strategy. And sometimes doing this is so intensive all the time, especially if you're not used to trading at all, on a floating price. Sometimes it can get, how can I say this? It can create a lot of anxiety, right? But again, try to risk money or funds that you can afford to take a risk on, right? Please do not put your rent money in this, right? Please do not put your grocery money in this, all right? Unless you're gonna buy groceries with the Bitcoin, all right? So, but be mindful of your money, all right? You've worked hard for it so far, so let's not try to lose it so easily. All right, let's go on to the next chart here, and this is a Bitfin, okay, Bitfin, and Bitfin has a different chart altogether. It's hit. This is the hard resistance, and it's gone above it, and then it's gone down underneath, and it's fallen a little bit below the support line, but it's bouncing off of the resistance here. So let's back up now. Let's go on daily. Okay, so here's Bitfin, and this is their chart. And this is the top resistant line right here, and it's skirting and almost up above it, and hasn't quite fallen below the support that I've put a line in here. And so in that sense, I mean, Bitfin, what I've noticed just watching it since I've discovered this particular exchange, I've noticed it has a lot more price action movement. The chart analysis is way different than any other any other of the two major exchanges, which would be Bitstamp and Bitsy. And I think this could be a really good indicator for speculating, because the way the platform is set up, it seems it's made for speculating. You can do margin trading. You can do what do they call it? Liquidity swaps, and then you can do just straight exchange like a Bitstamp or Bitsy. So I don't do any of the margin trading because either I have the money or Bitcoins, or I don't have the money or Bitcoins to trade. And but since that feature is available with Bitfin, I think a lot of people are going to take advantage of that, and then you're going to see a lot of more price action, uh, price swings and movements, and a different chart analysis altogether. So according to Bitfin, Bitfin looks pretty darn ready to break out of this very long, hard resistance right here. And, you know, take it for what it is. I've also noticed that if you go to localbitcoins.com, Bitfin can be used as a pricing mechanism, as a exchange rate. So you just put, basically it would be Bitfin X, and then US dollar, and then whatever price formula you wanna put in there, and it's tied into localbitcoin.com, so you can get the price movement from here. And so you're seeing something totally different with this particular platform. Sorry, my alarm went off and froze the camera. But let me see. I'm back to the 4-hour here, and let me go into the 2-hour. And so it's fallen a little bit, but it's still trying to maintain. Just because it's fallen that much doesn't mean that it's failed. This support has failed in any way. It really has to fall below, back down here on this resistance to show that it's really failing. But at the same time, it's going sideways. But pretty much, if you look at this chart from here to here, it's up. Obviously, down from here to here is going down. But overall, this slowly trending price movement is going up. It's kind of gone down, but again, it's the weekend. Nothing as far as news has happened. Nothing surprising anyway. But as far as I'm concerned, it's really skirting a breakout. I mean, it almost seems like it's ready to break out of that channel, that resistance line there, and move up. It seems like it. But you never know, because Sunday may come around and then pow, it may just literally just pow, just fall right back, right back down into this below this resistance. So that's kind of what's going on. And then last but not least, but if you're in America, you're gonna look at this chart. You've got to look at this chart. In my opinion, if you're in America, and because this is going to be Coinbase, and you notice there's not a lot of information here. It's not like an exchange, but at least you're getting some feeds here, and then you're getting, you don't know how much they're buying, but at least you're seeing the price action movement. Someone's buying, and so that may mean, I'm not sure if that's real people buying, because I see this all the time. I mean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Something's going on. I don't know if that's Coinbase buying, or if that's people buying, and then Coinbase has to buy, or if that's just straight, people buying, and then it's getting recorded here. There is no volume, so you're not seeing any volume here. But this is following this, just very similar to Bitstamp and BitC. You see it's broken out of this support, but it hasn't fallen dramatically. It just tells me it's broken out, and it's just going sideways. It doesn't mean that it's that this is this portion of the up trend is not over yet. There's still a chance that it can continue. And so the reason why I look at Coinbase is because if you're in America and you have an account, even though you're trading at other exchanges and in different countries, the thing I learned from Mt. Gox is, when you're done trading, the great thing about Bitcoin is you can come back to America just as fast as you left America. You can bring your Bitcoins back into America, and that's where you can have them. all right, and they're safe. And if you need to liquidate your Bitcoins, you can if you set up with Coinbase. Um, Liquidate, convert it to a U.S. dollars, and then you just go to your bank and you can convert it to legal tender and buy more Bitcoins, reinvest, whatever you want to do, buy a house, buy a car. Um, when I say buy a car, it's not an investment, but more of a business expense. All right, you still have to drive to the bank. You still have to meet your miner. You have to, I don't know about you, but I usually drive and meet my miner. You may have to meet other investors. You may have to go to the airport to fly to a different country to, uh, get a better understanding of the Bitcoin ecosystem in a particular market. You may drive to a particular market where you want to get a better understanding or feeling of the ecosystem of Bitcoin. So you need to travel is my point. So you can buy a car and that's part of your business, right? That's part of operating your investments. You want to go out and check out the markets, or maybe you bought a business with your Bitcoins or invested into a business and you need to drive over there to check it out. I mean, there's so many things you can do. So many things. Um, if you're really serious about Bitcoin trading or the Bitcoin trade, um, you know, just not not the fact that you own a Bitcoin means anything. It's the fact that you kind of made that transition um, from self-employed to now. Well, first of all, everyone. I started out working, earning a wage, and it wasn't that great. Um, but you have to, earn some money to do anything, right? You need to get some money, legal tender, to legally, legitimately um, do things. And if you legitimately make a gain, well, that's yours. You gained it, rightfully yours. Um, you could defend yourself in many ways. Not even the government can take your legitimate gains away from you. All right, you can defend yourself against that. So so basically, it's like you become a worker, right? You work and you earn a wage, accumulating some legal tender, and eventually, with that legal tender, you can do things with it, and you make your progress to being, self-employed. Typically, that's how it starts. It's really easy, real simple to start a business that way as just as self-employed, right? Your name and your tax identification number, and then eventually you may actually become a business owner, owning an operating business, right? Which is nothing more than just a complex form of being self-employed. And at some point, you're going to get up to that transition of being an investor. You're going to be able to basically, you'll realize, okay, I've made some gains. And you realize instead of, realizing those gains, I mean, you can realize some of those gains, buy your groceries, buy your food, pay your bills, whatever. Um, but ideally, once you realize those gains, uh, to really speed the process up, you would reinvest those gains back into whatever you want to do. Now, typically, a lot of people would do like they would open up another store. Um, they would increase their 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 buying of whatever product or service. Do more advertising, whatever. Um, you know, um, as but in Bitcoin, you just buy more Bitcoins, That's you don't have to have an operating physical. You're an investor. You're just taking your money and you know you're transferring the value of money onto something else, which has no face value, and you're playing on the fluctuations in price. Okay, and so you can short something, but with bitcoins you have to have bitcoins in order to short. So you can't just, hey, I want to short bitcoins. You can't. Well, not at the regular exchanges, but with Bitfin apparently you can short. You don't have to actually have bitcoins. You could have your money and then short bitcoins. So anyways, um, but anyway, my point is you're making your progress up to the ultimate, um, how can I say this? Um, the ultimate goal, I guess, would be you make your way up to becoming an investor. And once you become an investor, so many things become possible. Um, and that's kind of what I'm experiencing. And being an investor doesn't mean you're not self-employed. You can still be self-employed and be an investor. You can still own a business and be an investor. My point is, the money you make from being either self-employed or through a business can be reinvested into something else. In this particular case, it'd be Bitcoin, which I would consider more of a financial instrument. Credit, so you're exchanging your debt for credit. And so there you go, there you have it. And you work up to a point where you become an investor, specifically a mining investor. So if you're not quite understanding or following what I'm saying, you may have to, anybody new out there, you may have to start from Bitcoin 01. And I know you'll go through a lot of these other videos, but it may help you understand if you're just coming in at this point. So go back to Bitcoin 01 and work your way up to now and beyond. But now Coinbase is pretty much doing the same thing. At some point, it's gonna hit this resistance, and a lot of people who trade are gonna have to decide whether it's gonna be breaking out or it's gonna be going back down to another support in this channel. So there's your weekend trade. For me, the weekend trade is, it's the pricing is more stable. It doesn't move a lot. The volume's kind of lower. That's a great time for me to buy or sell, because I know the prices, most of the time, the price is not going to move that much. If anything, it's a great time. I always think it's a great time to buy, but that's my opinion. It's really a good time to buy because the price does not move that much. It's not going to drop down $150 right after you push the buy button. It kind of sucks. But that's not all the time. But I've noticed on the weekends, the volumes are lower, the price doesn't move that much, and then as soon as a Monday, it always seems like, for example, I was seeing this price action a little bit over the weekend. Monday was when it really jumped up. This happened all on a Monday. And so, well, here where I was, in America. Maybe someplace else. It was already, I don't know, Tuesday or something. But so, I'm sorry. So that concludes this episode. There's not much going on here, but when there's not much going on, that may be the greatest time to make a trade, because there's not a lot of price action, and what you do after the trade is up to you. The thing about you got to worry about is when you're buying a Bitcoin, either you're buying it from someone or you're buying it at the exchange, and then you want to move it, or you want to trade it, or you want to put it up to an exchange. There's a process of at least one, sometimes 2 hours before the transfer is complete. And between that time frame, depending on on the situation, uh, price may move drastic. Now, if you bought a Bitcoin and it drastically moved up, and then the transfer was complete, you kind of made out pretty good. But it sucks when you're the seller in that situation, and then the other case is when you're the buyer and the price moves down. The seller turned out, made a gain, because what is he going to do with your money that you gave him after you sold it? He sold it to you. Well, he's probably going to buy more Bitcoins at a lower price for the same amount of money, right? So, weekends, not a bad time to buy and sell, because the price does not move a lot. You can position yourself for the next week if you have an idea of if you can kind of get a general idea of the price movement overall in general, so you can position yourself a lot better. So that may be another type of trade, or a strategy that you may incorporate into your other trades that you do. And so I hope this helps. Anyways, okay. Another one before I let y'all go, or you can just go to the end. Here's another thing you might want to use. I've been using let me see here, 10-day weighted average, right? 10-day, and I put it on 2-hour. And this is what is this? This is a Bitfin. And so what I look for is, sometimes when my lines aren't making any sense, I'll go to this. I'll go to the weighted average, 10 and 25. And what I'll notice is that a lot of the price action is bouncing off of these two lines, depending on how much, how strong it is. And if you look here, this uptrend right here, this small part of an uptrend here, the support was the 25 period weighted average here, and that's where the support is. And then when it goes down, the resistance was the 10-day, or not the 10-day, the 10 period weighted average. And then eventually it's trying to, looks like it's trying to break out of that and then it hits the 25 period average, weighted average, and it's just hitting that, and that becomes the resistance. And once it turns over, just like this, it becomes a support, in the support for the 25, support for the 10, and so this is the other way I look at things if my lines don't make sense, if it's going sideways quite a bit. So take some time to look at this, and it looks like it's the 25 period average, weighted average, as being the resistance. So it's hitting it, bouncing down, hitting it, bouncing down, and then when these lines cross over, there's a couple ways. You could take a gamble and just try it, make a buy purchase, make a buy order, and wait it out. You are just speculating. Another way is just to have it cross over, kind of like right here, have it cross over, and then play on it on this supporting lines based on the weighted average, or in this supporting line. So find out what the price is, and then put your limit orders there, and just let it bounce off of that, and hopefully you can when to sell. So this is another thing I look at. Let's spend a little bit extra time looking at some of these. That was Bitfin, and this is Bitstamp. And you can see Bitstamp was doing the same thing, and you can see right here, this 25 period average, weighted average, was being the support, and then when it turned over, the 10 period average was the resistance. Now it's going to the 25 period weighted average as being the resistance, and eventually it will, hopefully it'll flip over, and that's, so if sometimes my lines aren't working, I'll go to this, and this usually helps me quite a bit in determining what's going on. And finally, I'm going to go to Bitsy, and Bitsy's kind of like a different story. There's some information missing, but you can see that Bitsy is already kind of turned a little bit. So just things you can look at, and they do help in my trade. So when lines don't make sense, or they don't quite you can't get a good read, I'll go to a 2 moving average weighted 10 and 25. Very common. A lot of people would trade on that kind of buying and selling signal. So there's another way you can look at it. And then finally, let's have a look at this. If it's still all green, all right. So it's for the most part all green. I'm really looking at these three in particular. That's what I really want to look at. I really don't care about the rest, but when you pull back, the rest of these are green. So overall, if it's green, you know, it's an uptrend. When it's all red, it's a downtrend. I mean, not that hard, huh? This is probably the most easiest buying and selling signal that you'll ever do right here. Just look at it. Is it mostly like, is this right here mostly green? Yes. Well, it's a buying signal. All right, it's an uptrend. Is it mostly red? Well, if that answer is yes, then it's a selling signal. It's mostly a downtrend. So there's another way of looking if if you're looking for some answers. So anyway, that concludes this episode. I'm sorry this is very long, but I figure this is the weekend, so a lot of people will have time to, think about their trades. Anyways, feel free to comment, like, dislike, even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned.